cutest glasses.
Oh, thank you.
You must have a stock of them.
I only have 2 pairs.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Those are cute.
Thank you.
Why don't you sit here?
It's there. I saw it on my screen when I pulled it up, so you may have to go way to the right. I don't know why it starts to do that. If I found the last one way off to the right, and then I had to go through way. And we're streaming, so you may just turn it off and turn it back on, and now that we're streaming, you may pop up to life. You may try that. But I had to go like back to almost a year or more. I don't know why. Once you just turn it off and turn it back on and see if it doesn't come up.
Good morning. We want to welcome you to Wabash Avenue Presbyterian Church this Sunday morning. We welcome our members and visitors and friends. We're thankful for those of you who are joining us online on this Palm Sunday, which is also Passion Sunday. Like the Christmas Eve service, we are going to have a parallel service in that we are going to read not the Nativity story, but the story of the Passion, starting with Jesus' entry on Palm Sunday and taking that through Good Friday. All of the hymns that we're going to be singing as our readers present their parts, which are all from Scripture, are all in your bulletin. So you won't have to alternate between a piece of paper and your hymnal. So it's all there, and please do sing along. We are going to be observing communion today, and those of you at home, you're welcome to celebrate that with us. But when that comes along, it'll be indicated in your bulletin, but not announced. Please partake of the elements, as listed. Busy week, Holy Week. On Maundy, Thursday, we'll be gathering down at Christ Lutheran Church with our Lutheran and Disciples friends. That'll be at 7 p.m. And then on Good Friday, we'll be at First Christian Church. That service will also be at 7 p.m. Next Sunday is Easter Sunday. We'll be gathering for breakfast at 9:30. So come hungry, bring a friend. We'll sing some golden oldies. We'll have some fun. I'm told there might be some chocolate, so that will be a good blessing. And then worship will be at 10:40. And our 1 great hour of sharing offering will be received then. So thank you for sharing a gift. At the end of our service today, we're going to depart, please, in silence. There's not going to be any fellowship time today so that we can keep our time of silence as the service concludes. There are love notes in the fellowship hall, so I hope that you'll take a moment to sign them. Alan and Jim, thank you for that wonderful prelude. I didn't want it to end, so your music is such a blessing. And to our readers and to Jennie, thank you for helping us encounter God in Scripture and song today. So thank you, and God bless you. Let us worship God.
When Jesus and his disciples had come near Jerusalem and had reached Bethphage at the Mount of Olives, Jesus sent 2 disciples, saying to them,
"Go into the village ahead of you, and immediately you will find a donkey tied and a colt with her. Untie them and bring them to me. If anyone says anything to you, just say this: 'The Lord needs them,' and he will send them immediately."
This took place to fulfill what had been spoken through the prophets, saying, "Tell the daughter of Zion, look, your king is coming to you, humble and mounted on a donkey, and on a colt, the foal of a donkey." The disciples went and did as Jesus had directed them. They brought the donkey and the colt and put their cloaks on them, and he sat on them. A very large crowd spread their cloaks on the road, and others cut branches from the trees and spread them on the road. The crowds that went ahead of him and that followed were shouting,
Hosanna
to the
Son
of David.
Blessed is the one who comes in the name of the Lord.
Hosanna in the highest heaven.
When he entered Jerusalem, the whole city was in turmoil, asking, "Who is this?" The crowds were saying,
This is the prophet
Jesus from Nazareth in Galilee.
his disciples,
You know that after 2 days the Passover is coming, and the Son of Man will be handed over to be crucified.
the chief priest and elders of the people gathered in the palace of the high priest Caiaphas, and they conspired to arrest Jesus by stealth and kill him. But they said,
Not during the festival, or there may be a riot among the people.
Now while Jesus was at Bethany in the house of Simon the leper, a woman came to him with an alabaster jar of very costly ointment, and she poured it on the head of as he sat at the table. But when the disciples saw it, they were angry and said,
Why this waste? This ointment could have been sold for a large sum and the money given to the poor.
But Jesus, aware of this, said to them,
Why do you trouble the woman? She has performed a good service for me. For you always have the poor with you, but you will not always have me. By pouring this ointment on my body, she has prepared me for burial. Truly, I tell you, wherever this good news is proclaimed in the whole world, what she has done will be told in remembrance of her.
who was called Judas Iscariot, went to the chief priests and said,
What will you give me if I betray him to you?
They paid him 30 pieces of silver. From that moment, he began to look for an opportunity to betray him. On the first day of unleavened bread, the disciples came to Jesus, saying,
Where do you want us to make the preparations for you to eat the Passover?
He said,
Go into the city to a certain man and say to him, The teacher says, my time is near. I will keep the Passover at your house with my disciples.
So the disciples did as Jesus had directed, and they prepared the Passover meal. When it was evening, he took his place with the 12. And as they were eating, he said,
Truly, I tell you, one of you will betray me.
They became greatly distressed and began to say to him one after another,
Surely not I, Lord.
He answered,
The one who has dipped his hand into the bowl with me will betray me. The Son of Man goes, as it is written of him, but woe to the one by whom the Son of Man is betrayed. It would have been better for that one not to have been born.
Judas, who betrayed him, said,
Surely not I, Rabbi.
He replied,
You have said so.
While they were eating, Jesus took a loaf of bread, and after blessing it, he broke it and gave it to the disciples and said,
Take, eat. This is my body.
Then he took the cup, and after giving thanks, he gave it to them, saying,
Drink from it, all of you. For this is my blood of the covenant, which is poured out for many for the forgiveness of sins. I tell you, I will never again drink of this fruit of the vine until the day when I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom."
When they had sung the hymn, they went out to Mount of Olives. Then Jesus said to them,
"You will all desert me tonight, for it is written, 'I will strike the shepherd, and the sheep will be scattered.' But after I am raised up, I will go ahead of you to Galilee."
Peter said to him,
Though all become deserters because of you, I will never desert you.
Jesus said to them,
"Truly I tell you, this very night, before the cock crows, you will deny me 3 times.
Peter said to them,
Even though I must die with you, I will not deny you.
Peter said to them,
And so said all of the disciples. Then Jesus took them to a place called Gethsemane and said,
Sit here while I go over there and pray."
He took with him Peter and the 2 sons of Zebedee and began to be grieved and agitated. Then he said to them,
"I am deeply grieved, even to death. Remain here and stay awake with me."
And going a little farther, he threw himself on the ground and prayed,
"My Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me. Yet not what I want, but what you want."
Then he came to the disciples and found them sleeping, and he said to Peter,
"So could you not stay awake with me 1 hour? Stay awake and pray that you may not come into the time of trial. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak."
Again he went away for the 2nd time and prayed,
"My Father, if this cannot pass unless I drink it, your will be done."
Again he came and found them sleeping, for their eyes were heavy. So leaving them again, he went away and prayed for the 3rd time, saying the same words. Then he came to the disciples and said to them,
"Are you still sleeping and taking your rest? See, the hour is at hand, and the Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners. Get up, let us be going. See, my betrayer is at hand."
"Oh, to darkness was still sitting, Judas, who was one of the 12, arrived. With him was a large crowd with swords and clubs from the chief priest and the elders of the people. Now the betrayer had given them a sign saying,
"The one I will kiss is the man. Arrest him."
At once he came up to Jesus and said,
"Greetings, Rabbi."
Judas kissed him. Jesus said to him,
Friend, do what you are here to do.
Then they came and laid hands on Jesus and arrested him. Suddenly, one of those with Jesus put his hand on his sword, drew it, and struck the slave of the high priest, cutting off his ear. Then Jesus said to him,
Put down your sword, for all who take the sword will perish by the sword. Do you think that I cannot appeal to my Father, and he will at once send me more than 12 legions of angels? But how then would the scriptures be fulfilled, which say it must happen in this way?
At that hour, Jesus said to the crowds,
Have you come out with swords and clubs to arrest me as though I were a thug? Day after day I sat in the temple teaching, and you did not arrest me. But all this has taken place so that the scriptures of the prophets may be fulfilled.
Then all the disciples deserted him and fled.
Those who arrested Jesus took him to Caiaphas, the high priest, in whose house the scribes and the elders had gathered. But Peter was following him at a distance as far as the courtyard of the high priest. And going inside, he sat with the guards in order to see how this would end. Now the chief priests and the whole council were looking for false testimony against Jesus, so that they might put him to death. But they found none, though many false witnesses came forward. At last, 2 came forward and said,
This man said, I am able to destroy the temple of God and to build it in 3 days.
The high priest stood up and said,
Have you no answer? What is it that they testify against you?
But Jesus was silent. Then the high priest said to him,
I put you under an oath before the living God. Tell us if you are the Messiah, the Son of God.
Jesus said to him,
You have said so, but I tell you, from now on you will see the Son of Man seated at the right hand of power and coming on the clouds of heaven.
Then the high priest tore his clothes and said,
He has blasphemed. Why do we still need witnesses? You have now heard his blasphemy. What is your verdict?
They answered,
He deserves death.
Then they spat in his face and struck him, and some slapped him, saying,
Prophesy to us, you Messiah. Who is it that struck you?
Now Peter was sitting outside in the courtyard. A servant girl came to him and said,
You also were Jesus the Galilean.
but he denied it before all of them, saying,
I do not know what you are talking about.
When he went out to the porch, another servant girl saw him, and she said to the bystanders,
This man was with Jesus of Nazareth.
Again, he denied it and an oath.
I do not know the man.
After a while, the bystanders came up and said to Peter,
Certainly you're also one of them, for your Galilean accent betrays you.
Then he began to curse, and he swore on oath.
I do not know the man.
At that moment, the cock crowed, and Peter remembered what Jesus had said.
Before the cock crows, you will deny me 3 times.
And he went out and wept bitterly.
When morning came, all the chief priests and the elders of the people conferred together against Jesus in order to bring him to his death. They bound him, led him away, and handed him over to Pilate, the governor. Now Jesus stood before the governor, and the governor asked him,
Are you the king of the Jews?
Jesus said,
You say so.
But when he was accused by the chief priests and elders, he did not answer. Then Pilate said to him,
Do you not hear how many accusations they make against you?
But he gave them no answer, not even a single charge, so that the governor was greatly amazed. Now, at the festival, the governor was accustomed to release a prisoner for the crowd, anyone whom they wanted. At that time, they had a notorious prisoner called Barabbas. So after they had gathered, Pilate said to them,
Who do you want me to release for you, Barabbas or Jesus, who is called the Messiah?
For he realized that it was out of jealousy that they had handed him over. While he was sitting on the judgment seat, his wife sent word to him,
Have nothing to do with that innocent man, for today I have suffered a great deal because of a dream about him.
Now the chief priests and the elders persuaded the crowds to ask for Barabbas and to have Jesus killed. The governor again said to them,
"Which of the two do you want me to release for you?"
and they said,
Barabbas.
Pilate said to them,
"Then what should I do with Jesus, who is called the Messiah?"
all of them said,
Let him be crucified.
Then he asked,
Why? What evil has he done?
but they shouted all the more.
Let him be crucified.
So Pilate released Barabbas for them, and after flogging Jesus, he handed him over to be crucified.
Of the governor took Jesus into the governor's headquarters, and they gathered the whole cohort around him. They stripped him and put him in a scarlet robe on him, and after twisting some thorns into a crown, they put it on his head. They put a reed in his right hand and knelt before him and mocked him, saying,
Hail, King of the Jews!
They spat on him and took the reed and struck him on the head. After mocking him, they stripped him of his robe and put the crown, his own clothes on him. Then they led him away to crucify him. As they went out, they came upon a man from Cyrene named Simon. They compelled this man to carry his cross. And when they had come to the place called Golgotha, which means place of the skull, they offered him wine to drink, mixed with gall. But when he tasted it, he would not drink it. And when they had crucified him, they divided his clothes upon themselves by casting lots on him, which read, "This is Jesus, King of the Jews." Then 2 thugs were crucified with him, one on the right and one on the left. Those who passed by derided him, shaking their heads and saying,
You who would destroy the temple and build it in 3 days, save yourself. If you are the Son of God, come down from that cross.
In the same way, the chief priest also, along with the scribes and elders, were mocking him, saying,
He saved others. He cannot save himself. He is the King of Israel. Let him come down from the cross now, and we will believe in him. He trusts in God. Let God deliver him now, if he wants to, for he said, I am God's son.
The thugs who were crucified with Jesus also taunted him in the same way.
From noon on, darkness came over the whole land until 3 p.m. And at about 3 o'clock, Jesus cried out in a loud voice,
Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani.
that is,
My God, why have you forsaken me?
when some of the bystanders heard it, they said,
This man is calling for Elijah.
At once, one of them ran and got a sponge, filled it with sour wine, put it on a stick, and gave it to him to drink. But the others said,
Wait, let us see whether Elijah will come to save him.
Then Jesus cried again with a loud voice and breathed his last. At that moment, the curtain of the temple was torn in two, from top to bottom. The earth shook and the rocks were split. The tombs were also opened, and many bodies of the saints who had fallen asleep were raised. After his resurrection, they came out of the tombs and entered the holy city and appeared to many. Now, when the centurion and those with him who were keeping watch over Jesus saw the earthquake and what took place, they were terrified and said,
Truly, this man was God's son.
Many women were also there, looking on from a distance. They had followed Jesus from Galilee and had provided for him. Among them were Mary Magdalene, and Mary, the mother of James and Joseph, and Mary, the mother of the sons of Zebedee.
When it was evening, there came a rich man from Arimathea named Joseph, who was also a disciple of Jesus. He went to Pilate and asked for the body of Jesus. Then Pilate ordered it to be given to him. So Joseph took the body and wrapped it in a clean linen cloth and laid it in a new tomb, in his own new tomb, which had been hewn from the rock. He then rolled a great stone to the door of the tomb and went away. Mary Magdalene and the other Mary were there, sitting opposite the tomb.
God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, so that whoever believes in him may not perish, but have eternal life. For God so loved the world, for God so loved you. Go in peace.